It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I'm Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. As you can see as well, today we are joined by Scott Moore, Adam Shorr, the boys over at Bucco Bantr. We want to appreciate them for coming on, but you can follow us everywhere at Around the 412. Also, check out our socials at Around the 412 on YouTube. You can watch the show there. Listen everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well, and you can find the links to all of our sponsors in the description of the show. But Adam, Scott, what's going on, man? This is a long time coming. Feel like we've talked about having you guys on for a while to finally get some solid baseball knowledge. Smitty and I have said before, we try our best with baseball, but it's definitely out of the three, not our strongest suit. So appreciate you guys coming on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you guys having us. I was listening to the episode last week and I heard Smitty's like, this one's for the algorithm. We're talking Pirates strictly just to stay in the loop. You're like, we'll have Bucco Bantr on next week. Hopefully we get some more insight. And that's what we're here for, man. We love the show. We love what you guys are doing, and we're happy to be here.
Yep. Thanks for having us, guys. This has been a long time coming, like you said, and I've been a big fan of you guys for a while, so this is kind of surreal.
Well, okay. All right. Let's stop there. Let's talk. I do want to talk about your guys' content journey, though, to be honest, because I've said this before. For as much content as I can create, you would think that I'd be burnt out and not really consume any of it. I'm consuming all of it. I love all the Pittsburgh sports content that I can get. We've been doing this since 2017. I want to talk about your guys' journey in doing this. Like, where did it start? How long ago did it start? Because I feel like maybe it was longer ago than I thought, but I really feel like you guys kind of fell into my algorithm, and I've been following you since maybe like 2024-ish. Maybe it was before that you guys were on the grind, but that's when it felt like to me that I found you guys.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think this is year 3 for us, and Adam and I go to like every home game like sickos, even before we did Bucco Bantr. We just would chop it up, and one day we're like, hey, let's just start recording this. I didn't really have big plans for it, and we got picked up within 6 months from a network, just baseball media, and we've continued to grow since then. But yeah, it's been a blast. We both played college baseball. I feel like I'd like to say we know ball, but we have fun with it too, and I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, the goal was to make going to Pirates games fun and enjoyable, because going to PNC Park, everybody knows, best park in baseball. It should be an enjoyable experience regardless of the product on the field. Now, obviously, we want to win ball games. We want people there, but going to a baseball game should be a memory, right? It should be an enjoyable experience for the little kid you're bringing to watch baseball to the 80-year-old that goes to every single game. And how could we make that more of an enjoyable experience? And it just started with the idea of, let's just start interviewing fans, right? Like, let's go around and just talk baseball with people. And we bought the crappy little $10 mini mics on Amazon, and we would go around talking, and it just started slowly to pick up. And along that journey, you meet cool people like yourself at the ballpark, and the people that are going to all the games in the community, and you start to build off of that. And it kind of just took on a life of its own, like Scott said, and didn't really picture any of this 3 years ago. We just wanted to talk Pirates, and now we're here on Around the 412.
Honestly, pretty similar to how we started, because you could say that even though we say that the stronger suit of our episodes are definitely Steelers and Penguins, as opposed to Pirates, I would say Pirates is really where the source of our early shows and especially like how it actually started was because we used back in the day, we had a third co-host, Herb. We would go to a lot of Pirates games. That's where we met Herb. And so like it was over that summer of 2017 where literally the three of us were just like, hey, why don't we we were talking about sports anyway. Why don't we put a microphone in front of our mouth? And
it's supposed to just be hockey at first.
Yeah, it was originally just going to be hockey, and then we decided to expand it to all three of the like Pittsburgh sports. And then actually, like whenever we're about 9 months in and our show kind of stagnant for a little bit, like how can we spice things up? I don't know if you guys know about this, but like the first episode that we ever had a guest on was Shane Boz. And then we also had Taylor Hearn on a little bit after that. Like we started, the first guests we ever had on were Pirates prospects. And honestly, if you want the truth, it's because they were easy targets and we could DM them and they were easy access to them. But yeah, like that was our early days. Like the first actual professional guests that we had on were Pirates prospects. So like in a similar way where we were just like, hey, let's put a microphone in our mouth. Like we don't actually think that this is actually going to go anywhere, but we're going to talk sports anyway. So let's record it. And then we started interviewing the prospects. And then, I mean, we're almost 9 years
Trust the
into
bucket
this.
process.
Yeah. Trust the
I
bucket
feel like that
process.
would actually, we came out with these shirts.
Over 30 Pirates prospects that had our shirts on.
Really?
One of them.
I think there's only one still with the organization, Braxton Ashcraft. He was
yeah.
Oh, let's go. I mean, that's a big one.
He was one of like the first 10 that had him. But yeah, there was like 30 guys at one point with the hashtag Trust the Buck and Process shirts that I feel like would probably actually play better now with the way that the team's trending, which we'll certainly talk about. Adam, I want to start with you for this because I have two things that I wanted to say before we start talking about your guys' experience at spring training. There's two things about you I find very impressive. One, you have one of the coolest leg sleeves that I've ever seen. Two, the fact that you hold the mic for the entire podcast, like without your arm, like falling asleep or just in extreme forearm pain. I don't know how you do it. I had to do it one time when this broke.
Yeah, I'm fighting through it right now, Zach. This is a struggle. I just moved, so I have a makeshift desk going right now. My arm is somewhere in a box, and this is a workout. Yeah. This mic is heavy.
Oh, so this isn't what you normally. I feel like I've seen multiple podcasts.
I have done it. I have done it in the past. Yes,
live shows maybe too.
Live shows, and this thing weighs like 5 pounds. It feels like, and my forearms are on fire right now. So,
but guess what? There's not going to be a pitch that gets past him in softball. So there we go.
No, yeah, dude, I got that grip strength for days.
Yeah, Stoma was telling me about you moving, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Inside thing with the nickname. Anyways, I want to talk about spring training, your guys' trip. That you mentioned briefly there, just like you could have never foreseen the amount of access that you guys are getting through doing this. So, what was that experience like? What were your biggest takeaways, not only from like an on-field perspective, but an off-field perspective in terms of the experience?
I mean, I think this year just the overall vibes felt different. Like our first access was last spring training with Pirates. Like, we'll see how you do. And, don't mess anything up. And, we kind of stood our ground and got a couple interviews, but this year
you're back for year two. So I guess it was all right.
Yeah, exactly. So we were in the clubhouse a little bit. We got on the field. We were out behind the clubhouse where we did a lot of our interviews, and just the overall excitement around the team feels different. And I think that a lot of that is due to Don Kelly's presence. Don Kelly exudes this loose presence, and a lot of guys have said that to us. So, I'm excited to see that carry into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Scott said, and going back to last year, if you look at any of those videos, I think we walked away with zero content because it looks like we filmed everything on a microwave. It was just really nervous, 3 guys trying to interview baseball players for the first time, like in person, and all of our camera settings just were all off whack. Everything was unusable, but they had us back, and this year was totally different, man. Like, just the overall vibe and how the players are acting and going about their business, like Scott said, was night and day. And an example I like to use is when we were on the field all last year, right? It was a bad season. No matter what way you look at it, it was a really, really, really bad season.
You felt it.
You felt it. And when Derek Shelton was there, it was like walking on eggshells. Not for us, obviously, but for the players and for Derek himself. Nobody knows when, they're going to lose their job. It was inevitable. It was just, when was it going to happen? You got guys on expiring contracts, 1-year deals. No one's there long-term, right? So there's a weird vibe of like, this is not going anywhere, right? Yeah. And nobody wants to talk to the media. No one's really having fun. The day Shelton was let go and Donnie took over, it was night and day. It was like kids discovering their love for baseball again. Everybody was out on the field, throwing, laughing. Like, I think I saw Key Brian Hayes smile for the first time. Like, I'm not even kidding. I truly believe that.
So you think the vibes of this spring training really started last season?
Yes.
And carried over.
I think the presence of a manager in baseball needs to be talked about more, because a lot of times it can be used as a scapegoat. Like, Derek was never given a good team. Let's be very clear about that. He might have not been the best manager for a job, but they gave him absolutely nothing to work with. So maybe he does good in Minnesota. They're kind of tearing it down there too. So who knows? But having a guy who's going to be there like Don Kelly, who's such a positive presence, who's from Pittsburgh, who knows the game of baseball, who's played in big moments, and can kind of relate to the guys through 162 plus, where you're with these people more than your family, man. Like, you're traveling. It's a grind. You're going to hate some guys in the clubhouse some weeks. You're going to love some guys. You're going to go out and get drinks with these people, know their families. You're going to live with some of them, and you're going to go through some woes, just like how every family does. And having somebody that's around that's consistent throughout all of that is what Donnie Kelly is. And that's definitely known now. Like, all the players have told us, like, they respect Donnie. They feel like they could talk to Donnie about baseball, about life, what's going on. And Donnie, being from Pittsburgh, understands what it means to the city. So there's just layers to it. And the common word that we brought up at spring training, Scott, was vibes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just the vibes were different. And I know it's corny to say, but you could feel it walking in Bradenton. It was night and day.
I also want to add to the additions that they made this offseason through trade and free agency. That was huge too. Yeah, because you have guys like Ryan O'Hearn, Jake Mangum, Brandon Lau, who have been there and played meaningful baseball, and they're great clubhouse guys too. I mean, that was something that was missing last year as well. Like, they didn't really have a leader, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So I think Ryan O'Hearn brings a lot of that. I think Jake Mangum's going to be a favorite in this city, and it's something that's hard to quantify, but that is also a big contribution to the overall vibe change of this team.
And Tyler, I don't want to say that we're necessarily against Don Kelly, right? I think that the reason that we had a little bit of a pushback, almost being the devil's advocate to that, is we just didn't want it to be handed to him. You know, like, I think we would have liked it to be seen more as like an open, them bringing more guys in for interviews than just Don Kelly going from.
I think you can relate it to the Steelers. Like, honestly, like how they kind of just, like, nothing wrong with Mike McCarthy, but it was the process of how they went about it that we were like, did they do the right thing?
At the same time, like, the early returns from Don Kelly, and again, they haven't played a single game this season yet, but just the way you guys are talking about the vibe change this year at spring training that really started from last year, now all these guys included, like, I agree with you guys, like, vibes are so important. We do got to get into an ad break here, but what I do want to say, the reason, like, Tyler and I are big believers in this too, that could be an absolute game changer for what this team's going to be. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Got to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Game Changers. That's their logo. This is one of their shirts. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Doesn't matter if it's sports, music, movies. They got you covered with their designs. Over 5,000 different designs in that catalog over there. GameChanger.la or Pick6.la. You'll save yourself $10 when you use the code AT412 on your order. The link is below to both of those sites. Go check out their entire catalog. Again, 5,000 different designs. If you go with the black or the white, it'll be true to size. If you go with the pepper, which I'm wearing right now, or the ivory, they'll be a bit oversized. It's a heavyweight material. Beautiful stuff. Go check them out. And again, save yourself $10 using code AT412 at checkout. By the way, we need some more Pirates designs added, Game Changers. We got a few over there. Paul Steens, Jared Jones, Kutch, which I guess is now a throwback, O'Neal Cruz, Bonds, Clemente, but I think there needs to be more on the horizon in that regard. In terms of the additions, Scott, I know you were starting to dive into that. We can go to there now. I think that there's enough intrigue even beyond those guys, just with like the internal guys that were already here, all the arms, the homegrown players, where there should have been some level of intrigue. I almost feel like these outside guys, just because it shows their level of buy-in, add to the hype, but also like just like the commitment level, and it puts a spotlight on the homegrown talent that was there already too. So I don't want to take away from the homegrown talent that's there by highlighting those outside guys. I think it's all important, and I really like what they are building.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was one of the things that we heard a lot was a collective buy-in from a guy like Ryan O'Hearn. Like they believe the pieces are there to build this team, and it just took a couple more bats to push them over the line. And we heard that from Brandon Lau too. Brandon Lau, who's like really good friends with Brian Reynolds randomly, like outside of playing for the Pirates.
I can see that actually makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they fit well together. And Brian Reynolds is not a guy that will talk a lot. Like he's not going to be a clubhouse leader. I mean, and Brian Reynolds should be like your third, fourth best bat in your lineup. And now he is. And you're going to see guys like O'Neal Cruz possibly take a jump because of the lineup protection that they now have that they didn't before. O'Neal Cruz was chasing a lot last year. And he's also worked on his plate discipline. We've seen it in his short sample size in spring training and also in the World Baseball Classic. He hit a couple nukes, but I mean, I think this guy is going to benefit the most from having some of these big bats in the lineup.
Yeah, it's a problem when you have to rely on O'Neill and Bryan to be game changers. And I think they would tell you that last year. You're not getting anything good to hit, because if you look at the lineup and you're an opposing team, the Brewers are coming in, you say, okay, I just have to pitch to Bryan Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz. Well, here we go. Here's a slider. We're going to break you off. You're not going to get anything good to hit because, hey, if we walk you, we don't care who's behind you, right? And now you have guys like Ryan O'Hearn, Jake Mangum, Bryan Reynolds, that mix, O'Neill Cruz, Spencer Horwitz. You have dudes, for lack of a better word, in this lineup. And then you add someone like Konnor Griffin to the mix. It goes a long way. Brandon Lau. You have power, you have slug, you have guys that you simply can't just pitch around to get to the next guy, because this lineup potentially could be strong 1 through 9, depending on roster construction. But it's a good problem right now. They have depth, not excess. They have very good options all the way through, minus maybe 1 or 2 positions. So it's way different from last year, and they're setting themselves up for success. Now they just have to execute.
You guys are about to make me feel really bad when you say no to this, but you bring up Bryan Reynolds, and I was thinking about when he first came up. Do you guys remember at all? There was a Reynolds campaign for him to win Rookie of the Year. Did you see the shirt at all?
I did.
For the sake of this show, I'm going to say yes.
I legitimately
we created the Reynolds shirt.
Yeah,
that was in
we
his.
made that.
There's like a picture that they put up on the broadcast when it started to like gain steam of it in his locker stall. And it was, that was our shirt. We were friends with Jeff Hartley, who was a relief pitcher at the Pirates at the time, and he got it to him. They ended up ordering like 20 of them. There's a lot of guys that had
I have.
We
seen
also
those
had
shirts.
we also had this weird year where, what was it? Was it 2017 or 18? Whenever Cervelli said "We are good."
Oh, I just posted. I just brought that back up recently.
Yeah. I randomly DM'd Cervelli, and he got some shirts into the clubhouse then as well. Yeah. For
Never unfollowed
reason.
us. Never unfollowed us on IG. Great guy.
A great guy.
Get him back in
for
the
some
York.
reason, for our what we would consider our third best show in terms of like the teams, we've had the most interaction with that team.
That's true. That is actually very true. Sticking with Cervelli, catcher. I want to talk about catcher because I gotta what in the world is the Pirates plan here? Henry Davis, Joey Bartz. Do we think that Endy Rodriguez is going to factor in here? Even I guess you could go lower down on the depth chart as well. Is that the 3? Who are the 2? Is it going to be that making this? To be honest, I'm kind of piggybacking off a topic that you guys had where I've thrown out the idea of potentially I don't think Joey Bart's getting his glove and going to first base if it's a foregone conclusion that he's a factor 1 or 2 within this catching mix. So is there something to that maybe, whether it's here or I know his name was floated around in trade rumors at one point this offseason. Is that still something to keep in mind?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, we just talked about this on the show, and it's a very complicated situation because first things first, Henry is making this roster simply because his defensive prowess is something that they never could have foreseen coming out of Louisville. He was a bat first guy. They thought he was going to be a 20+ homer guy, and now he's one of the best defensive gloves in the game, and he still struggles at the plate. But that still has value for guys like Paul.
He's Austin Hedges.
Yeah, he's Austin Hedges, essentially. And he's going to have a spot in Major League Baseball for quite some time because of his defense and because how much those guys love throwing to Henry Davis. I cannot understate that enough. They love Henry. He calls a great game. He holds runners. He has a great arm. He's making this team. They're going to give him opportunities at least to catch Paul Skeens. Now it comes down to, what do you do with Joey Bart? What do you do with Endy Rodriguez? What do you do with Rafael Flores, who you traded David Bednar for? And while I think they really like Rafael Flores and the big projection that he has, he's a large human being, grade A human being, and could provide a lot for this team in the future. He's probably not ready yet, and he needs some more time to develop. He's a bit of a late bloomer, and I think that's going to continue to show in AAA until he gets the bat right and improves his defense a little more. I think Endy Rodriguez has to be your tandem here because I look at it in terms of O'Neill Cruz. If O'Neill Cruz does not succeed this year, if he does not live up to his potential, if he cannot be your 30-30 guy, you have to make a hard decision going into next year. And I think the same applies for Endy Rodriguez. This is a guy that you valued very highly as a prospect. You traded for him. You worked him through the minors. He has a lot of great tools, switch hitter. He has a strong arm. He has good bat to ball, but he cannot stay healthy. And if he goes another year getting injured or just can't hit, then you have a really difficult decision to make with Endy as well. But he has a higher ceiling than Joey Bart at this moment. Joey Bart could not afford to go into spring training this year and not hit. And I know spring training, the numbers don't mean much, but for some guys, it does. Just because you're fighting for a spot, and the minute you pick up another Smitty, like you mentioned, it's pretty much, hey, game over. We're trying anything we possibly can to keep you on this roster. But that was a sign for me. It's like you're having him grab a first baseman when you have Spencer Horwitz, Ryan O'Hearn, Endy Rodriguez can play some first base, Rafael Flores can play some first base. That's a desperation move, and he's not the guy that they traded for a couple years ago. I don't think the bat's ever going to be there. The defense certainly isn't, and I think he's a good teammate. I think he's a good guy. I just don't know where he fits on this roster when it comes to, lineup construction and working in with his staff.
Scott, real quick before you go on this, I do just want to say, kind of piggyback off what Adam just said there in terms of the results, because we talk about this all the time and obviously fully agree. But I will say the thing too is, like, even from a process standpoint, I know that you guys were talking about this too, but you can see some tweaks being made with, like, Nick Gonzalez's hands, Jared Triolo going back to the All-Star break last year and the player that he was afterwards and stuff like that. Have you seen anything from Joey to suggest that there's been anything there in regard to that? Because, 2 seasons ago when we first got him, obviously it was kind of a feel-good story for what he had. Last year didn't produce. It doesn't seem like there's been any tweak or anything like that. Maybe they didn't feel like there needed to be one. But, I mean, to me, there was no change in even the process part of this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there was a feel-good story. He had Pittsburgh connections, right? But this is a guy that needs to out-hit his defensive liabilities. And he hit 3 home runs last year. If Henry Davis is going to be your backup or your second catcher, you're going to need a lot more from him offensively. And I think Endy has that upside. I won't go on this topic too much longer because I think it's pretty simple. I think Joey Bart is probably the most obvious trade candidate on this current roster. And there was interest.
That is, I don't know.
There was interest. We heard there was interest in him. I don't know how real that was, but
there was the Houston stuff, right? I mean, not saying that you're getting Paredes, obviously 1-for-1 for him, but, like, could there have been a deal done with the framework, including both of those players?
I think so. I think Houston was looking for another arm, probably a Hunter Barco or someone that they could sneak into that rotation. And you've already dealt from your strength enough this offseason. You got rid of Oviedo. You got rid of Burrows, which I don't disagree with those trades. I think they're very good right now. And
maybe the program, Mike Burrows, though, by the way.
Yeah. And Mike Burrows, and listen, we've interviewed him, and I think he has one of the most disgusting changeups in all of baseball. And he's dealt with injuries in the past, but he was expendable. Like, you have a lot of arms, but now you're at a point where you can't get rid of any more because guys are going to get injured. You already have Jared Jones fighting back from injury. Arms are valuable, man. People get hurt in baseball. You can only carry so much innings. And one thing I will point out, they got 2 guys on this roster right now that might give you 180 innings in Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you have Bubba Chandler on a innings limit probably in a rookie year. Jared Jones coming off of injury. Hunter Barco has been injury prone in the past if he gets a starting opportunity. Braxton Ashcraft is going to be held to an innings limit or be taken out of some games. You're kind of stretched thin at that point. So you need guys that are going to help you carry out a little bit more. And I think it would have taken too much for the Pirates that would have made them uncomfortable in that situation.
I mean, once they make the Skubal trade, you'll obviously give them something else in the rotation, but
yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Bart for
Tyler, do you have
Skubal,
anything
take
else
it or leave it.
Do you have anything to add on the catcher situation?
Not really. I mean, that's kind of where I would go with it too. I think Bart is just, you kind of see what he is at this point. He doesn't really have any value. And I think, Adam, you kind of said this, and I think it went a little unheard. Like, I don't know what value he's actually going to have in a trade. I think you might just trade him because you don't have a roster spot. You're not going to, like, DFA him, but there's really nothing to do with him that I think that is valuable for the Pirates outside of just, like, kind of getting him off of the roster just to open up the spot for a guy like Endy.
Yeah, I also don't think you need to slow play it with guys like Endy anymore. Like, just run him out there, see what you got. Same with Hunter Barco. And we mentioned he's injury prone, but, like, what are you saving him for? Like, you know, he was hurt coming out of Florida. He got hurt again when he got into minor league ball. Like, you might as well just see. I mean, I'm not saying like increase his workload by 100+ innings, but like you might as well be aggressive with him this year, especially with everything that's looming next season. God forbid.
Do you guys get the sense when it comes to like Donnie Kelly versus Derek Shelton that like Donnie Kelly might be a little more aggressive when it comes to things like that?
Ooh.
I don't know if that's up to him, to be honest with you. In terms of like adding to this roster and making those decisions, I think he might have more control over the lineup than complete roster construction. I feel like Donnie's personality would be more aggressive with those types of moves in order to win now. But I don't know if this front office is willing to sacrifice player development.
He doesn't have the Mike Tomlin role yet.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I think baseball especially though too. You know, like I mentioned, a manager is good because you need that positive presence. You need somebody to construct a good lineup and make good bullpen decisions. But a lot of it's just controlled through that front office and analytics department, and they have their ways. And you know, credit to the Pirates in one way, they stick to it when it comes to player development. Like they told you with Paul Skeens, he was going to throw a certain amount of innings. They told you with Bubba Chandler, he was going to like, and it's worked out at least on the pitching development side. Offense, it's a little bit more of a slow game right now, and we're seeing some of those guys rise through the system, but they're very set in their ways when it comes to, hey, this is the plan we have for this guy, and unless he exceeds expectations then plus some, that they're going to stick to that.
I think that we can see that there's a lot of changes organizationally, and honestly, I mentioned the Mike Burrows thing. He actually was probably like my favorite interview that unfortunately Tyler wasn't around when I interviewed him. But what was just so funny, like just openly calling out the past regime, like he hated the past regime before they switched over under Sherrington. So if you're interested, it still is up on the channel. Just search around the 412 Mike Burrows. You'll find that full interview, but a lot of good stuff still, I think, that is timeless found within there. I want to talk about Konnor Griffin, of course. How can we have a conversation? I'll talk about Konnor Griffin and also the pitching. To Adam's point, they do have a lot of young arms there. They're going to be on some innings limits. And there was like a question about who the fifth starter would have been anyways. But first, we're going to take a break. We just talked about the catchers. One thing is for sure, not all of them can make the cut. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from around the 412 had to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Keek's Barbershop. That's Keek's Barbershop, 401 Burkage Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app, The Cut. Book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do a walk-in with Tony or Ashley. Again, download the app, The Cut, to book an appointment today, or they do take walk-ins as well. Could not imagine going anywhere else. Old school vibe in there. Check them out. We'll save the best for last, and that's in regard to Konnor Griffin. Let's talk about the arms in this rotation. I fully prepared when I asked you guys about coming on here that I just wanted to have a conversation about like who was going to be that fifth starter. Is it going to be Urquidy? Is it going to be Mlodzinski? Is it going to be Clevenger? Is it going to be Barco, who I would love to see them give that opportunity to? Is it going to be a piggyback situation? Are they not going to have a traditional like fifth starter, if you will? That was fully prepared what I was to do. Then, like, you know, over the last week, I feel like the results really haven't been there for some guys. It's been a little bit more up and down. Like, Urquidy was the guy I was kind of penciling in, but I don't know if I still feel comfortable doing that. Scott, I'll start with you for this one. What do you make of this battle, if you will?
My favorite going into camp was Jose Urquidy. I mean, he's been there, played meaningful games, pitched in the playoffs and the World Series. But I think it's going to be Carmen Mlodzinski if I'm a betting man. I think they're going to give it to him out of camp. Jose Urquidy the other day, I don't know if you saw this stat. I forget who posted it, but after the third inning or so, second or third inning, his velo goes down like 4 ticks. And I think that's mostly a product of him like barely throwing over the last 2 seasons. So theoretically, they could go a piggyback situation, but I think they're going to go with the guy that has the experience doing it. And it's obviously not going to, he's not going to be the fifth starter all season long. You got Jared Jones coming in. You got Hunter Barco. You've got some other arms. Wilbur Dotel is a name that people are sleeping on. Antoine Kelly, we know the organization absolutely loves him. But I think to start, you may see Jose Urquidy in a piggyback or a long man role with Mlodzinski getting that fifth rotation spot, because we know Mlodzinski can be a dominant reliever, and I think that is his future. We know he wants to start, but to start the season, I think they're just going to go with experience.
Yeah, I think they could throw Mike Clevenger in there as well. His velo has been up, and he's getting back in the groove of things, and he's had a decent spring. But I think Carmen's the guy, and we've seen a different Carmen this year mentally. Last year, there was a little bit of a battle between him and the team. He wanted to be a starter. They said, okay, Carmen, you're a starter. Go out there and prove us wrong. And he didn't do well. And we talk about getting through the rotation, the lineup a third time through. He just couldn't do it. And it's like, yeah, this guy's a reliever. He's only been a reliever. He succeeds in that role. What are we doing? And Carmen was like, I want to be a starter. Please, I want to be a starter. And they kept throwing him out there, and it was the same thing over and over again. Strong through 2 innings, come that 3rd or 4th inning or through the lineup, couldn't do it. He comes back this spring and he says, yeah, I recognize my issues. I heard what everyone was saying. I looked at the stats. And I don't think that's something we would have seen Carmen do in the past. It would have more have just been an ego thing. Like, hey, I know I'm a starter. I know I have this stuff. Carmen maybe has some of the best stuff on the team. Like spin-wise, the guy is an absolute demon with the baseball, but it's just, can he have the stamina to be a starter every 5th day? And I think he recognized that, and he went in the lab and he worked on it. And is it going to work during the regular season? I don't know, but he might be their best chance stuff-wise, velo-wise, and experience-wise going into 2026 to be that guy. And listen, you don't need him to go 6 innings, 7 innings. You need him to go 4. Like, let's be real. You need him to go 4, maybe 5, and then you could throw in Urquidy. You could throw in a Clevenger or a Barco if you want to get him more innings. But I think Carmen probably has that 5th rotation spot locked up right now.
Okay. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. If I had to, again, the last time that we made this prediction, I think Tyler, we were both on Jose Urquidy. We wanted Barco.
Yeah,
but I think
we both
said
we would choose Barco. We think it would be Urquidy. I thought Majinski would just kind of be defaulted to the bullpen, so it's interesting to like hear your guys' take on like why he would be the starter, because I don't disagree with any of it. But it is, we actually touched on this a little bit last week where we were talking about the bullpen and how the importance of it being in 2026, like 2025 going into the year, we thought it was going to be a strength. We found out early on that was not the case. This is so like the importance of what the bullpen is in 2026 to you guys. In those arms, because we have Paul Skeens, we have Mitch Keller who can eat some innings, but it's a question of how about some of the other rotation guys, how deep they're actually going to get into the game. So like, how do you guys feel about the bullpen and the strength of that going into the year, considering the rotation, at least early on, may not get into as deep of games as people may think?
I think the bullpen is going to be good. I think long-term, especially, it's going to be good. I think you have a lot of guys that can throw high leverage innings. Mason Montgomery is a guy that's going to be volatile, but he's got, I don't know how anyone, I think it was Brandon Lau or Jake Mangan that told us, I don't know how anyone hits this guy, 99 from the left side, crazy movement. But you also got guys that are consistent. Isaac Matz is just going to throw 85% fastball past you. And we'll never understand it, but he's going to get people out. And then you got guys like Brandon Beddois. I think Antoine Kelly could be like a Braxton Ashcraft this year because we know the team really likes him, and the stuff is insane. I mean, he's sitting 98 to 100 in a couple of his spring training outings. You've got a lot of guys. Ryan Harbin was someone that someone in Altoona told me that he had the most MLB ready stuff as a prospect reliever. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now, but your run prevention is going to come from your bullpen, right, guys? I mean, you got an outfield that's kind of scary right now. And if you go a 5-man outfield, just Stinson and Jake Mangum ease those concerns because they can play all 3 positions and they can play them well. I don't know if they go 5-man, but your run prevention is going to come from your pitching staff. And I think they have a ton of depth, even though if you're looking at the bullpen right now, it might not jump off the page and look sexy, but I think it's going to be reliable.
Yeah, I think they have arms there. I mean, they did a good job adding some lefties in the back end of that pin that can throw high leverage situations, because you're going into a season where the rotation only has right-handed arms outside of Barco, but you added 2 of the hardest throwing lefties in Gregory Soto and Mason Montgomery. But like Scott said, Mason could be inconsistent sometimes. Look back at Aroldis Chapman as a Pirate. Like sometimes he's going to throw the ball in the upper deck, and sometimes he's going to be unhittable. And you know, listen, I'm not willing to go out there and say, hey, this bullpen's going to be dominant, because bullpens are fluid. They change throughout the year. A lot of things happen. You know, Dennis Santana has been really good. Are you going to get the same guy? Isaac Matson has been a dog. But like, do guys stay healthy? Justin Lawrence was having the best year of his career until he got hurt. Johan Ramirez has been iffy, but they like him on this roster. And then lefty wise, they just sent down Evan Sisk. So who do they have outside of Cam Sanders that's going to add some parity to that really strong right-handed starting rotation? I think they have some depth, but you know, again, bullpens, you could have a bad first half of the year, then they're the best team in the second half. I just I think they have some good arms here, but I'm not willing to go out and say, hey, this is going to be the best pen we've ever seen. But they have some type of consistency there, and I like what they did in terms of construction in order to try and make this work.
Yeah, they have diversity, I would say, with
Yeah.
arms in that bullpen.
Which I think is kind of what we were getting at last week. There's so much intrigue, especially like long term within the group. It's just like relievers are so volatile, which is why like on bad teams they're selling them. Good teams always need them. You can never have enough relievers. So yeah, super interesting. Curious to see how that's going to play out in those battles, which don't have a ton right now. I know I mentioned Konnor Griffin, which is where I want to close off, but something was popping in my mind that I feel like I got to bring up on here. It's been a conversation. We've had it on here. You guys have had it on Bucco Bantr. You mentioned Jake Mangum in the outfield mix, but like Justinson Garcia too. Like, does it make sense to keep him on the raw? He's clearly one of the best 26 players that they have right now. At the same time, is there enough volume for him at the MLB level for it to make sense?
Yeah, that's my problem there. I mean, Scott, I'll take this real quick, and obviously, I think you listened to the show. I just don't think they're ready for him to take an everyday
I know you
spot.
did a show, to be honest.
Thanks. For sure. And I don't think they're ready for him to take an everyday spot. And you look at 2025 when he was a top guy in the Red Sox system that's loaded with outfielders, and I don't think he maybe got a fair shot there. But in the small sample size, he chased a lot, he struck out a lot, he didn't make good swing decisions. We're seeing that a little bit more in spring training, but it's also a time where pitchers are working on throwing their fastballs and they're working on certain things. You might get better pitches to hit, or you might be facing some low A guys. And I know he's had some home runs off of some major league bats, but we need more of a sample size from Joe Stinson. I think that's a project where you don't want to mess it up. If you told me at the beginning of the year, Joe Stinson was their first move, and you said, hey, this is the only move the Pirates are making. This is it. This is your guy. Yeah, I'd be a little bit like, okay, we need him to succeed right now. But then they went and got Ryan O'Hearn. They got Brandon Lau. They got Jake Mangum. They got a lot of guys that could be dudes in this lineup. Now you don't need Joe Stinson to be the guy. You don't need to put pressure on a young kid like that to succeed. So let him get 100 at-bats in AAA. And listen, if he carries over the success from spring training and he forces your hand, so be it. You make a spot for a guy that can hit. But right now, I don't think you mess up his development for, a flash in the pan for spring training. It could be real, but I think we need more there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I had a friend text me the other day. It was like, do they make a move to make room for him? I'm like, I don't think they're going to move someone that is proven for someone
like
that is
in terms of what? Like
a name like a Spencer Horwitz. Do you move a Spencer Horwitz and move an O'Hearn to first base where he's more comfortable, and then you open up left field for a Garcia and Mangum? And while I think Garcia has impressed me a lot this spring, don't get me wrong, like I think he's definitely made improvements. I would bet on them giving him every day at bats in Indy until an opportunity opens organically, because Justinson is a very important part of the long-term future of this organization.
I will say something that I mentioned to Tyler, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this too, is like we mentioned injuries within the bullpen. An injury happens in the outfield, he's probably up here. So like that is certainly on the table, unfortunately, knock on wood. Hopefully nobody gets hurt and everybody just stays healthy. But if that were to happen, I'll get your guys' opinion on this. I think I'd rather see Mangum stay in the fourth outfielder role and it be Joe Stinson getting the everyday at bats.
I mean, you need defense, right? Like this team is, last year they sacrificed a lot and they didn't get any runs. And now this year they're sacrificing some defense for some run support. And the only defensive gloves or defensive first gloves that you have now are Jake Mangum and Jared Triolo and Henry Davis, I guess. But really out there outside, the 8 other guys that are fielding the ball, you need some type of surety out there that a guy's going to make a play or at least late in games. So yeah, man, we'll see how it goes. But I think the kid needs more time.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take one more ad break, tell you guys about Shop Yins, then we'll come back, talk about Konnor Griffin, of course, and close it out. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from around the 412 had to take a quick second to tell you about our newest sponsor, Shop Yins. A lot of people been asking me about around the 412 merch. We got it. Down below is the link, shopyins.com. Save yourself $10 off a minimum purchase of $30, which is basically like you're just buying one t-shirt if you're over there right now. Orders of $75 or more also get free shipping. And while you're over there, don't just check out our Around the 412 stuff. Taylor's got Penguin stuff, Steelers stuff, Pirate stuff, a bunch of good stuff always coming out. Hoodies, I'm actually rocking mine right now. T-shirts, hats, stickers, flags. He's got a bunch of stuff, koozies going on over there right now. Go check all of it out. We appreciate the support that you guys have given us. We appreciate our guy Taylor. Go check it out, shopyins.com. A lot of people that were asking me about the merch that I alluded to was just myself wanting new around the 412 merch. So thank you, Taylor, for creating that. Rocking the hat right now as well. All right, Konnor Griffin. How do we think this plays out? I feel like people that are even around the team, the closest people to them on the beat, are still kind of split. He's still hanging there right now, still in big league camp, has not been sent down yet. Are we going to see him on this opening day roster or not?
I think it's contingent on an extension getting done. I'll just put that out there. I mean, enough. Konnor Griffin versus Alika Williams is the hottest spring training battle in all of baseball. But hey, in all seriousness, Alika has looked good. Like, he's definitely made adjustments. But again, it's spring training.
I'm thinking about giving him a new nickname. Maybe I'll run this by you. Freak Alika.
Please, yeah.
Freak Alika. I love that.
Freak Alika. Yeah. I like that. Let's print the shirts. But they, we've heard that the Konnor camp is very, very interested in staying here and signing that extension. And I don't think it'll take a lot. It's just a matter of what the Pirates are offering him. If they get that extension done, which, it's kind of been going back and forth. We've heard that it will get done. We've heard it may take into the season, which is very possible. I would still bet on him making the opening day roster. Yeah, it's a big year. It's a big year. Like, I just don't think that after all the moves they made this offseason, they're going to go into opening day with Alika Williams, Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo platoon at shortstop.
Yeah. Wait, Adam, before you answer, let me just throw this out there. Give an answer on that. But also, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I just feel like, and you guys can attest to this too, being Pirate fans, even during the good years and stuff like that. But going into a season, right? Like, it's not like on paper, those teams just look so incredibly dominant, or they had this incredible offseason where they made all these moves. Like, that was a lot of homegrown talent just doing it. In terms of the outside additions that they've made, then if you add on to that, this young teenage phenom being on this opening day roster, I feel like there'd be as much hype for this team going into opening day as we've ever seen in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to put people in seats, man. Like, it's simple as that. It's going to be appointment viewing for Konnor Griffin, and we've had the honor of having him on the show a couple of times. And then we talked to him down at camp. You would never guess this kid's 19 years old.
Great glove tour.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Love that series. We actually just dropped the Termar one.
I was watching it when Scott joined the room. Yeah, I was literally sitting there. I was like, oh.
Really, really cool. But, man, this kid is mature beyond his years, and he's a robot when it comes to baseball. He just wants to play baseball. He wants to get better at baseball, and he wants to be a team guy. And we've talked to some people at Pirate City. I'm not going to throw any names out there, but we've talked to some people at Pirate City that are familiar with Bobby Witt Jr., that have played with Bobby Witt, that have trained with Bobby Witt. And they told us to our faces, looked us dead in the eyes and said, he's better than Bobby Witt Jr. He's bigger. He's stronger. He might be faster. And I'm like, please stop before I lose my mind, because like, if you're telling me we have the super version of Bobby Witt Jr., I'm going to freak out. Right. And that just might be what he is. And I think putting him on this roster is an easy decision, because how are you going to convince Ryan O'Hearn, Brian Reynolds, Brandon Lau, Jared Triolo, Spencer Horwitz that he doesn't belong here? Right. This kid has gone out there and he's hit every single ball 110 miles per hour. And I know the stats don't show for it, and I could give a crap about his 200 batting average in spring training because his outs have been loud. And even if he goes up to the major league level and he struggles with the bat a little bit, he's still going to be the better glove at shortstop. He's still going to be the better base runner. He's still going to provide so many other things that nobody else can. And I think it's good for the fans. It's good for baseball to see a 19-year-old kid of that type of posture and mentality make the opening day roster. And that's what we're pushing for. If I was a betting man, I'd say, yeah, he's out there. How could you go out there and trot out Alika Williams or, move Jared Trill over to shortstop after really saying like, hey, you're our third baseman all spring? I mean, they made a move for Tyler Callahan, who I could have mentioned earlier, could get some outfield spot. We were in a Don Kelly press conference, and he said, we see him playing a little bit of everywhere. But at the end of the day, he's your guy. I know Skeens is the face of your franchise, but so is Konnor, man. Like, this kid can do no wrong, and everyone's gonna be excited to watch Konnor Griffin play baseball, and I hope that's on opening day.
I was starting to laugh a little bit, and I had to hold it in because, I would never. This not to be taken seriously. I can't even post this because people would take it seriously. I was thinking as you were talking there about the 200 batting average and like not taking it seriously because it's spring training. I'm gonna make the meme where it's the like one guy says something and it's completely fine, but then another guy says the same thing. Konnor Griffin hitting 200 and like Joey Bart hitting whatever he's hitting this spring.
Right.
Even scores on him. But I had to look. It's actually 138. So no, Joey Bart is not even hitting 200.
I think Henry's hitting like 73. So I mean,
yeah.
Like, how much value do we put into this stuff? People were freaking out about Bubba Chandler the other day. Like, people work on stuff in spring training. People go through stuff to get ramped up, and the same goes for hitters. A lot of guys that we've talked to say, "Hey, the first couple of bats of spring training, I'm going up there and I'm not even swinging. I'm just getting my timing down. I'm looking for spin. I'm trying to get my eyes ready." It applies for every position out there, and how guys, get ready is their business. But I'm not putting too much value in a 200 batting average at this time.
I think the most impressive part too, I mean, one, he's built like an NFL tight end. Like, I knew he was big, but standing next to him, I'm like, geez. And like Adam said, how do you tell Jared Trillo? How do you tell these guys that he's not making a team? Because they're like all bought in on him being on this roster. And that's been said publicly. Like, they're rallying behind Konnor. And I don't know how well that, I mean, obviously Don Kelly is a great clubhouse guy and he'll bring those guys together, but I don't think that decision would go over well in the clubhouse.
And don't you think, like, again, you can't make decisions based off PR and fan base thought. I really feel like it would be, in hindsight, just awful the fact that they came out and said, like, he's got a shot to make this roster. Spring training plays out the way that it does, and then he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, they could have said absolutely nothing, and I don't think people would have been as up in arms had he not. Because, I mean, let's be honest, like, in terms of the lack of time at AAA, like, you could sell people, I feel like, on that if you never had said publicly that he had a shot to make the roster, but he did.
Yeah. And I think that's a little bit of coach speak. Like, I mean, you're going to hear that, like, hey, does this guy have a shot? Yeah, he does. Or, if you ask me another question, I would say maybe he doesn't. But, like, yeah, I agree with that. There's been a lot. Well,
like, what was it? Like 2 weeks later, he did kind of, like, I feel like pour a little cold water
but, like,
on the idea of it.
Listen, I get it. You don't want to play your cards or show your cards too early. But with a kid like this, I mean, we were at the Ben Charrington press conference, and obviously the question has to be asked, like, what's going on with Konnor? I think Noah Hiles asked it, like, do you plan on having him here throughout big league camp? And they're like, we're not going to tell you that. Why would we tell you that? And, like, I get, like,
come on, Noah, there's a better question than that.
Come on, Noah, seriously. Call back if you know, you know. But yeah, like, I get why you have to ask the question, and I get the response, because one, yeah, you don't want to be like, at this point in spring training, yeah, the 19-year-old, we're keeping him through here. Like, you still have to go out there. You're the number one prospect. You still want him to go out there and perform and work hard. You can't promise anyone anything, but yeah, it's a lot of pressure, man. And I think Scott, you asked him the question, like, how are you dealing with the pressure, right?
Yeah. And he was just like, yeah, just take it day by day. Like, it's like so nonchalant. I'd be shaking in my boots. Like,
he's the oldest teenager I've ever seen in my life. Like, I mean, I'm so old, like, but he makes me feel even older.
Yeah. Same.
Well, now all these
the maturity is just beyond. Yeah. It's insane. But I feel, and it's so important that he is, right? Because of the hype surrounding him. Like, I can't imagine if he didn't have that type of personality. And that's why, the talent isn't the end be all for a lot of these guys. You can be as talented as possible. But if you didn't have that headspace.
When I was at 19, the biggest discussion I had with my friends was, which frat do we go to at W&J tonight? So
to be fair, I was kind of running stuff when I was 19. I was the assistant manager at CBS down here at 19.
Okay. So you're basically Konnor Griffin.
I mean, it's right there.
I mean, what do you guys, Tyler, what do you think? Like, opening day?
100%. I said a couple weeks ago, I don't know how Don Kelly, Ben Charrington, whoever were to come out and say it, that he is not making the opening day roster. I don't know how you could say
get ready
a legitimate reason as to why. Like, look at anybody that's on the roster right now. Compare him to anybody. You're seriously trying to tell me that he is not a better player than anybody that they have to play shortstop right now. Even if he's not batting at a high level, a high clip in spring training. We said it pre-spring training. the numbers really mean nothing. And you said it, like people are experimenting. They're trying to develop new things. Spring training numbers, they're pretty arbitrary when it comes to actually analyzing how these guys are doing in spring. And so the fact that he is batting 200 means absolutely nothing to it. Is he the best prospect, not just even prospect, the best player that they have at the shortstop position? The answer is yes. And I don't see any way around it.
Yeah, and I don't buy into getting him AAA at bats. Like, do you know how many 91, 92 mile per hour fastballs you're seeing in Indianapolis? Like, pretty much every day. Like, you're not seeing the best of the best in AAA. Like, people might think like, oh, it's levels. Like AA, you might see some better pitching. You might see some better guys. Yeah, like AAA, like Drew Maggi was in AAA for 45 years. Like, legend. You know what I mean? Like, legend. Listen, good story. Paisan for Scott over there. But I mean, I don't think he's going to benefit anything. He's not going to get better at AAA. Like, if anything, like, I think the AA at bats helped him a lot more and helped him learn a little bit. But yeah, see the velo at the major league level. Like, you're kind of taking a step down going to AAA.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think even if he doesn't hit right away, the defensive value that he'll still bring, and he's in the right headspace. Like, even if he struggles, I think offensively, it's not something that's going to like ruin him long term. Should that happen, but hopefully it doesn't happen. I told Scott that it would be 30 minutes, maybe up to 45 if we yap too long. But I do have one more thing that I want to bring up because you guys are so much more tapped into the minors than we are. I need a short list, so 3 players that we need to keep an eye on from the minor league level that could be risers.
Ooh, love that. All right.
Number 1 is Christian Curtis as another big arm. I'm all in on Christian Curtis. Check him out. We had him on the show a couple of times. He was like one of our first interviews too. And his stories.
All right, the bias playing
of course. Of course. He has nasty stuff, and he has a crazy story. He was at Texas A&M before he went to Arizona State, and they messed up his Tommy John surgery and hit a nerve, and like still has trouble feeling his fingers when he's gripping a baseball, but I think he's probably a lot better now. I mean, the guy's got crazy stuff, and he's a name I think is going to jump up boards. Adam, do you have one?
Callan Moss.
Wait a second. Hold on. I'm sorry. It kind of not saying that this is what happened or anything like that, but I'm just thinking, has this surgery, something goes awry and ends up being better. I'm just thinking like Henry Rowan Gardner.
That's absolutely what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Callan Moss has to be my number 2. And after this spring, he might be my favorite player in the organization. After the Bailey Falter trade, everyone was like, they got Callan Moss and Evan Sisk. Evan Sisk is back in AAA, and everyone's like, what is a Callan Moss? Like, who did you just trade for? Like, what is this guy? Right.
Undrafted D2 guy.
Right. And this guy just hits the absolute crap out of the ball. Like, the most aggressive but sweet swing you'll ever see. Right when he got to Greensboro, he was on fire, man. He hit everything. And that's translated over to major league camp. Like, he's gotten some good big league at bats where he just hits the ball hard. And then we talked to him for like 30 minutes off camera at Pirate City. And this is a guy that you want on your team. He's all about team chemistry. He's a New York type of guy. Like, think like Josh Palacios type of energy and character.
Brooklyn.
With a better bat. I mean, this kid is just electric. He wants to build chemistry. He's getting to know all his teammates. He makes it a certain point to go out with certain guys and to make sure everybody's on the same page. And, you know, from what went to like a holy crap, why did you trade Bailey Falter for a no name, to like, this kid's going to be a top prospect in this system. And I think he's definitely going to start in Altoona, and he could probably make his way up to AAA. And if the bat plays, man, like, the sky is the limit for this kid. Scott, do you have a third? Because I have a third. It's probably a cheap one, but
no, I think we're going the same route. It's Seth Hernandez. Yeah. I was going to say Deuce Gorson is like, I think he's going to be a big league bat, but I watched Seth Hernandez in the backfield on spring training, and there's 2 other guys that wowed me when throwing live, and that was Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler, and then Seth Hernandez. Like, the stuff, you were just standing behind the plate, and the coaches were both looking at each other, like, what are we watching? Like, this guy's a freak. His stuff is disgusting. And, you know, this is a guy that's going to be a top pitching prospect, just like Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler were.
Yeah, you watch
around to see if I had a baseball, I'd say we'll add a 4th to it. I can't find one right now.
Like real quick on Seth, like, you talk about Konnor being that mature type of kid. I've gotten the same feeling when we've talked to Seth. We had him on the show after the draft, and then we talked to him at Pirate City. But when you're watching these guys on the backfields, and if you haven't been to Pirate City on the backfields, I highly recommend it because you're just up on the fence watching these kids throw. And usually the coaches are quiet. The scouts are quiet. They're not going to show their hand. And like Scott said, it was audible gasps. Like people were like, what is like actually out loud? Like, what is happening? What is that? I don't know how anybody even touched this kid in high school. Like it was that impressive. So he's a strong right-handed arm, and I know like these kids go through a lot with TJ, knock on wood, and injuries. But man, the stuff plays for itself. He has to be one of the best in the organization, if not the best right now.
It's good stuff. Tyler, got anything else before we close out?
I would just love to know, since you guys were down there, what sense did you get from the team? I mean, you already talked about the vibes of the team, but like if you're trying to sell somebody that is still skeptical in 2026 about Pirates baseball, what would you pitch them? What would you sell them about this team to try to get them back in the park?
I would say real quick that this team lost a lot of one-run games over the past couple of years, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore with guys like Ryan O'Hearn and Brandon Lau in your lineup, and they also bring up other guys in the lineup. I think you're going to see improved seasons from Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz, and I think it's just going to go throughout the whole lineup and the whole clubhouse. I really do think this offense is much improved, and they have one of the best young pitching staffs in all of baseball.
Yeah, get ready to see a lot of fireworks, man. Like we went a whole episode talking about Ryan O'Hearn. Yeah, Zambelli. Yeah, shout out Newcastle. There it is. All right, I was waiting for him to jump in there. I mean, like we went the whole episode. We talked about Brandon Lau. We talked about Ryan O'Hearn. We talked about Brian Reynolds bouncing back. O'Neal Cruz being a 30-30 guy. Spencer Horwitz was the best hitter on the team last year. We did not mention Marcell Ozuna one time. We've been here for 56 minutes. We haven't talked about Marcell Ozuna one time, who's going to be your DH on a day-to-day basis, who's pretty much guaranteed to hit you 20 home runs and has already been a very good presence in the clubhouse. Talk about like good vibes.
Might be like a player and a half. Like if he brings O'Neal Cruz back to the level that he was at, or even better than, that's like another player that getting Marcell Ozuna adds to the roster.
It's really important to have like a strong like guy, like a Latin American presence in the clubhouse for some of these young guys. Scott brings it up all the time. Like Dennis Santana would not be who he is without Aroldis Chapman, and Marcell Ozuna. You've already seen him working with O'Neal Cruz. You've seen him working with Justinson Garcia. And I think that's going to translate all the way throughout the roster. Guys that have just played meaningful baseball games and have just been in the league for a decade. And like I said, if I was going to sell you, like if you like Zambelli fireworks shooting off in the center field, batter's eye, like get ready to see a lot of them. You're going to see a lot of runs scored. You're going to see a lot of balls put over the wall this year.
Maybe you win a Bucco Bantr giveaway or something while you're out there.
That's true. We probably have like some Jack Sawinski signed baseballs left over here somewhere, so need to get rid of those.
By the way,
man, I'm excited.
I would say, by the way, Seth Hernandez high school ERA his senior year was .39.
Yeah.
Stupid. His high school team
gave up runs.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to tell that story though. Like, hey,
I'm the one that got 3 in 53 in the third innings, but he also had 105 strikeouts in those 53 innings.
Yeah, I think he hit like 10 bombs too. Like the kid's unreal. It's crazy.
You know what I love the most about all this as we close out here? Pretty much like so many of the guys that we brought up on here, you guys were able to be like when we had him on the show or we interviewed him. And that's just so awesome. I love to see what you guys are doing, the growth that you've had since you started this thing. When we do Pirates episodes, which is not year round, but as we get to the season and then in season, it's always like you guys, the North Shore 9 guys. You guys had Jim Stam joining with you guys now, which is really cool. We always would give him and Gary shout outs for their Pirates coverage. And it's awesome to see. So super proud of you guys. Pumped to see where you guys take this thing and continue to take this thing. And tell the people they could find you and become like me and become a fan of you guys.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys having us on the show. If you like our content and enjoy Pittsburgh Pirates baseball, you can find us at Bucco Bantr on all social media and on YouTube. Make sure you go Bucco Bantr, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. We got content coming out all the time. We added a live show, like you mentioned, with Jim Stam every Wednesday where people can chime in. During the season, we're going to have live shows down in the Strip District. We're going to have them at the stadium. I mean, like we're going all in this year, and our goal is to make sure you're up to date, well informed with the Major League Club, all the way down to the Dominican Summer League. Like we're sickos, and we know it. We're that bought in, and we want to make sure you are too, in order to educate yourself on the Pirates and understand everything that's going on. And that's our goal here.
And if you really, really like us, shoot us a DM and we'll send you our OnlyFans. All right. Good way to end it, right, guys?
It's just pictures of Newcastle pizza.
It's exactly
that would do really well.
It's just sites around Beaver County. Wait, real quick. Adam, where are you from?
I was born in Pittsburgh. I grew up in Squirrel Hill and Churchill for a little bit. Then my family moved to Florida for high school, and then I kind of jumped around. I played in college out in Oregon, Illinois, went back to Florida, came back up here for school again, and then I always wanted to make my way back to Pittsburgh. So yeah, I'm a city kid.
Good choice.
Yeah.
When you were in Florida, I thought maybe just say you went to like IMG Academy or something like that.
Dude, I wasn't that good.
A lot of talent. A lot of talent there.
Yeah.
No, but follow these guys, support their content. They do great stuff. Much better Pirates content that we're putting out here. We will admit that every day of the week, and we're super proud of them and their growth. And we'll be linking up. Well, Tyler, you gotta get back up from Oklahoma at some point to get to the Pirates game this year.
Listen, I'm trying. I might be making that more permanent here soon. Who knows? But there we go.
We'll coordinate something and get the boys together.
Yeah, absolutely. But appreciate you guys joining us. We do have one more ad to play. Tell you guys, right by Tyler right now. That's Marcelo Electric. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from around the 412 here. Had to take a quick second to tell you about Marcelo Electric, serving Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, and Butler County. Whether it's residential, commercial, or service calls, our boy Brandon Marcelo's got you covered. 724-614-0611. Again, that's Marcelo Electric, 724-614-0611. The link below in the description takes you to his Facebook page. All his contact information is there, as well as a lot of the projects that he's been working on. Does great work. Couldn't recommend him enough. Before I play our outro, by the way, too, as I was listening to that, I was like, I didn't even mention their music. Good Lord. Is that like that? That's you guys, right? That you guys had to have done, like, mix that somehow, right? Because it's like about you guys, right?
No, the intro song?
That's one of our good friends.
Yeah. Our shout out real quick while we have him here, Jordan Montgomery of Driving While Black Records. He's a Pittsburgh artist. I was in his wedding. Scott was at his wedding, and we've been really close with him for years now. And when we started this podcast, I was like, bro, do you have anything that says Pirates in it? And he's like, yeah, this one. And I was like, all right, we figured out our song for life now. That's it. And he's awesome. Go check him out, Jordan Montgomery.
Like, even if I'm like, you know what, I already watched or listened to the latest episode, there's really no reason for me to just like do it again. I'm just going to go listen to the intro.
Yeah. So the intro's sick, dude. I love it.
Our music's not as good, but we're about to play the outro here in a second. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit us in the comments, your thoughts, anything that we talked about today, a question for a future episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, we're also there. Just search Around the 412. If it's on Spotify, you can leave us a comment or question there. But regardless, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe. Check out all the links to all of our great sponsors in the description. Wherever you're watching or listening, hit us up on all the socials at Around the 412. Again, thank you to the Bucco Bantr boys, Adam and Scott, for joining the pod. They'll be back. We'll be back. Check out the Steelers and Penguins shows as well. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.